Welcome, 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 welcome to the Law, Your Money, and You. I'm Roberta Sapphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts.
And I'm Camille Barron, a financial organizer and healthcare advisor, also in Sharon, Massachusetts. And today we have a rising sophomore at our local high school who's going to give us a whole lowdown of different things that are going on, especially with some technology advances.
Right. He's also a rising, if you want to call it rising, he's a rising new intern team member, we call him, at the Law, Your Money, and You. And we are so happy to have him because he won't admit it, but he's brilliant. Aarush, welcome. Welcome here, and we're going to have fun today.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's a good start. Anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 15 years old. I've lived in Sharon since I was 5, and well, that's pretty much all that's going on with me
Where
right
did
now.
you live before?
Before, I lived in Quincy.
Over here. Quincy.
Yeah.
That's a good town.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's the only city in the county. But so they were in a big city, so they decided to move to a smaller town.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that interest you right now that might be of value as you go through your high school years and beyond?
Well, I do enjoy computer science and programming, which is something that I might try to pursue later on in high school or maybe college. So, yeah, that's true.
And you mentioned before we started that you're involved in a group teaching some people some of the computer skills.
Yes, so I work at a place called Code Ninjas.
Code Ninjas.
Exactly, yeah. It's a place where we teach kids maybe ages like 6 up till like 12 or 13 or so how to code, and yeah, that's
What do you teach? How to code?
how to code. So we teach a language called JavaScript, and then from that, the kids keep on developing more skills and then move on to other they keep on doing projects and keep on moving on.
Now, JavaScript, isn't that or wasn't that the most popular coding
Yeah,
for websites?
Yeah, I think mine is Pack Java.
Yes, so what JavaScript is, all websites, they have three things in them. They have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, what JavaScript does, it will gives the website its brain. So you can write HTML, but all that's going to do, that's going to lay out the website for you. So
Can you tell our viewers what HTML is?
Like, how would we find it? Like, a typical website.
So HTML is just all of the like text and everything that you see. That's what HTML is. So in HTML, you have tags, which I'll give an example. H1 would be a header, so or a heading. So if you put if you write H1 and then you put some amount of text and then close that H1 tag, it's going to display on your website whatever text you wrote in big bold letters. So what CSS does, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, I think, Cascading Style Sheet, and it gives your website, it allows you to change aspects of your website, like change the margins, change the color, add more customization to your website. Now, none of this actually does anything. This is creating what's called a static website, and you're able to click on things, but it won't actually do anything. So to give it logic, you use JavaScript, and with JavaScript, you can create buttons that say, if once I click this button, give me an alert or send an email or something of that sort. So that's what JavaScript is.
Is your, like, a lot of people use Gmail. Is that, what script is that? Do they have JavaScript?
Yeah, all websites have use JavaScript.
Oh, what about WordPress?
WordPress is different. So with WordPress, you're able to create your website by using by dragging and dropping and everything, but it doesn't. All of that, it's converted into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then sent off to your domain that you use to host.
I've seen sometimes where it'll say HTML www, and then, or am I seeing it wrong?
That's HTTPS.
Oh yeah, HTTPS. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure with the difference between HTTPS and HTTP is if it's a secure website or not. So that just means that everything you're submitting, your forms and all that, that's like no one else can see it. I'm
So what do
pretty
you
sure.
have these kids do? Like how many are there at a time, and what do they do? They just like you give them a sheet and say make Java out of this. Or?
Not a sheet. So Code Ninjas has its own portal where you can type out your code, and then it just you have certain projects that you need to complete. So sometimes some of the code is written for you, and you just need to complete like some of the logic that's working. So that's that.
Now, are there certain types of programs, such as JavaScript, that might use something else besides JavaScript, depending on what where the website is going to be or what it's going to be used for?
Well, almost all coding languages do the same thing. It's just a way to give a program a set of instructions that it needs to complete. So it's mostly just different syntax. But then again, there are languages that are harder and easier than others, like that. So the thing with websites is that all of them use JavaScript, but there are some way. So let's take another example. Let's take another language, for example, like Python. So what Python you can use it for? You can create an ideally on your you can create a program on your computer, and then from that program you can tell it to do things, and it would give you what you want it to do. But this is all on your computer. So to actually put this on the web, there are different frameworks that you can use, but you do write all of the code in Python, but it parses it into JavaScript and sends it off to wherever you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of these kids go beyond like another course after you, or can they now write things, or do they experiment? What do they do? What does it prepare them for?
Well, it's up to them what they want to do after they finish with Code Ninjas. So people do leave with some pretty useful skills from there.
Now, there are some websites that are technically not websites. Sometimes you'll see a blog, a blog that is actually used as a website. That doesn't necessarily require JavaScript, or am I wrong about that?
Oh yeah, if somebody has a blog.
So a blog, like if somebody writes a blog. So still, to put anything on the web is going to be with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's like the bare bones of everything.
I see.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Are there how many people in your course? Like how many are there?
Oh, usually there's less than 10, like per every hour or so.
Have you seen them go on to other things, or is it just for the course and then they forget about it?
No, they don't forget about it, but it is in Canton, so I don't really
It's
see.
the next town over. for
Yeah.
those who don't know.
I don't really see anybody outside of there, I guess.
You also mentioned that you're involved in robotics. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
So I'm part of robotics team, FTC Team Unlimited. We're part of a competition called FTC, which stands for First Tech Challenge, and so you have to create a robot and make it do a certain mission, and the mission's different every year. And
Yeah. We had, I mean, no, it was about 4 years ago, excuse me, we had a few of our interns who also, they worked on police books, you know, the pictures, get the hiccups. Police officers are our friends, which we don't want anybody to forget that they're still our friends. Fire department too. But they not only, at that time there was just one robotics group, and these interns, teen kids, drew pictures for us, but they also, we did articles in our newsletter about what they did. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up, because what they did, there was only one group, and I know you broke off into 3, but what they did was they would go to schools and show the kids in the class, while the class was going, this would be one of the classes, what they could do with robotics, and they would bring in robots that they created and show the kids how they could do it too. Now, is your group doing that besides being in contests, right? Remember that?
Yeah, sure.
Well, it didn't. You said it broke off into 3, which it didn't. Like all of the teams that originally there were there. Just new teams started up in Sharon. So there are 3 teams right now in Sharon, but they're all like all 3. They were created. They weren't like.
Oh, it wasn't one big team. And
No.
oh, so they added more.
Yeah.
So you part. Which one? You part. The original team is still there.
Yeah.
So there must be a lot of people in this now.
There's around like, I think in our team, there's around 13 or 14 people.
That's good.
Yeah.
And what are some of the projects that this team has
Yeah.
worked on?
Some of the projects, well, most of, FTC is split into usually 2 categories, the robot game and outreach. And so with the robot game, the organization that creates this competition, they give a field and a number of challenges that you need to do, and you put on in competitions. You're put on head to head against another team, and then you have to.
Is it the same category? Like what you do is what the other team does too?
Yes, it's
Oh.
it's the same mission for.
What was the last mission?
Last mission, it was called Power Play, and you had to. There were poles all scattered around the field that were equidistant.
Oh, it was
from each-
outside? You
Sorry?
said poles scattered around the field, so is that outside? Was this mission outside?
No. So the field is the mat, right?
Oh,
Yeah, there's a mat, and there were like poles sticking up from there, and you had to. There were also cups on the corners of the mat, and your robot had to pick up the cups and stack them onto the poles.
isn't that great?
So it is a point-based system. So whoever scores the most points in each head-to-head match, they win that match, and it keeps on going like that.
Well, I'll tell you, the influence that the robotics had on us was we started putting robots in our coloring books. Like we had, well, I think the robotic dog is standard, but we said maybe the police will start having robot officers, robot this and robot that. Is there anything happening along those lines, robot assistance?
Well, there's a company called Boston Dynamics. Have any of you heard of that?
No.
No. So Boston Dynamics, what they do, they create really impressive robots. Like
Really?
I think the robot you were talking about, a robot dog.
Yeah.
They created one that's like actually lifelike, and it reacts the same way to a dog. It moves like that and everything, and it's really cool.
Did you do a field trip there? I got a question. Is Boston Dynamics in Boston, or are they in another town?
It's in Boston, I'm pretty sure.
Because a lot of times
I know.
they see that and they're not
Right.
in Boston.
Yeah.
So, have you done field trips there to see what their robots are like?
No, but it is a pretty well-known organization, and they do, like, on the internet. I'm sure if you just search up like or lifelike robot dog, or if you like search up robot in general and keep on scrolling, you'd probably find it.
What do
So-
you think the most sophisticated robot is that you've seen from Boston Dynamics?
that I've seen? Well, I believe I've only seen a couple, which is the dog, and I think they created a human once.
Really?
Yeah.
That should be interesting.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. If I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure this happened, but they created a human that could like traverse a course, and it was pretty cool to see.
Was it a boy human or a girl human?
They didn't specify.
Did they put clothes on it?
No, it was just a like human-like figure that could traverse.
Oh,
a
what
course.
has your group done? Created?
So every year we create a new robot depending on the challenge. So last year we used a mechanism called a double reverse 4-bar to lift the cone up and put it onto the pole. And so what a double reverse 4-bar is, it's a type of lift that
No, I thought I saw something.
it's a type of lift that lifts an object parallel to its starting location. So yeah, I'm not too sure about the specifics because I worked mostly on the software side, but yeah.
Have you been following AI, artificial intelligence, at all?
Well, I know of it. I'm not, haven't done much research in it, but you know, I do use some of the artificial intelligence engines to help me out sometimes, like well, programming or something like that.
It's quite fascinating. There was something on 60 Minutes recently about artificial intelligence, and you know, the very extremely impressive. Like they can write a book in like 5 minutes or something. Because it stores all of the information that I don't know where it gets it all, but it must be a big database of some sort. And I'm thinking about that now because robotics is fairly new. It hasn't been around that long in the applications that you're talking about. But just think about in the future.
Yeah.
What could be if you think about artificial intelligence and how it could be used. One of the dangers, of course, is that it could be used for the wrong reasons.
Oh yeah, and then they say sooner or later it'll take over.
Yeah.
Have you seen those
Yeah.
shows where it takes over?
Yeah.
You know,
But anyway, so you have to think like not only now of what's out there, but just think 20, 30, 40 years ahead. You'll be here, but we probably won't.
I'm never going. Very interesting. I know our viewers are going to look, and there's 4 Rubik's Cubes out there, and we kind of saved that towards the end, but because we had to get all the other stuff in. He has so much going for him that this is probably the most fun of everything. Would you say you get the most fun out of that? Or
Yeah, it is. It is really fun.
put them in the thing so we can all see them.
Sure.
I think everybody's had a shot at Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, I do remember when I first started. I have been. I think I first solved a Rubik's Cube in 2nd or 3rd grade, and to figure it out, I just watched a YouTube video on how to do it, and after that, I was like, "Wow, this is really fun. What if I keep on doing
Have you
this?"
seen them on TV where the guy puts a blindfold on and he starts doing the Rubik's Cube perfect,
Yes.
and then he does another one perfect?
Yeah, that's an event called multi-blind, and To solve a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded, most people think it's actually really interesting. Most people think that they have to memorize the whole cube, and it's like it's starting orientation and all of that, but that's actually not the case. What they do, they look at two pieces that need to be swapped, and then they do an algorithm to swap them without regarding any of the other pieces. So it's really cool. They what the method used for this, what people do, they assign a letter to each piece, each corner and edge, and then after that they keep on swapping edges and corners until it's solved, and then they don't need to memorize the whole thing. It's very cool. I tried learning it once, but I don't think I was able to do it.
Like, why are these different sizes?
So this is called a square one, and it's a different type of Rubik's Cube. It's really interesting because it can change shape like this. It's much different.
That's a riot, isn't it?
It's very different from a 3x3. There's a whole nother method to solve it, but I think that's the event that I'm like. Well, other than 3x3, that is my best event.
And what is 3x3?
3x3? 3x3.
I see.
Well, talk about the events. You said an event. What event?
So an event is how how long when people compete to solve a type of Rubik's Cube. I guess that could be an event, like the 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, 5x5, and it keeps on going up till 8x8.
Oh my.
And
8x8.
in actual competitions. And then there's the Rubik's Clock, which is completely different. It's got dials which you need to rotate, and it's fascinating.
So there's more than just this under Rubik's
yeah,
Cube?
Yeah, there's way more.
So which ones do you do? Well, talk about what you do with the Rubik's Cube. If
What I
somebody
do?
might be interested in joining you or going to it or something, let's talk about it. I'm fascinated with the Rubik's Cube.
All right, so
Can't do it, but
I'm mainly focused on speed solving. I could give an example right now if you'd like me to.
Yeah, sure,
go ahead.
please.
Sure, yeah. So usually,
Yeah.
I
Move the
think.
glass out of the way in case they can't see it.
Sure, I'll move these two. It takes me around.
Different colors.
It takes me around 15 or so seconds to solve one. So, yeah, I can.
Look at that, will you?
Wow, is that quick? Oh.
Oh, he did
My,
it.
my.
Yeah. So
That's fast.
yeah, I average around 15 or so seconds usually, and I have been doing this for a pretty long time, but it has been on and off. So it's just been practice. I've just been practicing, and that's really the main way.
Well,
you get
what's this
faster at
event that you talk about? That's a Rubik's Cube event? I mean, that's fascinating that they have an event.
Oh, you mean the competition? Right.
Yeah.
So, at a competition,
Yeah, just, yeah.
at a competition, the way they're organized is there are, I think, around like 100 or so people at each one, and so
All
they're
different ages? Or
yeah, anyone can sign up.
really?
Yeah. And they're all, at least I'm giving you an example for the 3x3. They're all.
That's a 3x3?
Yes, these two are 3x3s.
Can I touch one?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, something.
Uh,
I remember when these came out.
Yeah. At a competition, there are
Yeah.
around 100 or so people, and they're all divided up into groups, and each group gets a different scramble. So what happens? Everyone's timed, and it's not like a head-to-head competition. It's based on rounds. So everyone does 5 solves, and the judges, they take the average of that, they remove the outliers and grab the average, and then after that they put them all in a ranking sheet. And then it's different for each competition, but usually...
How many judges are there?
Well,
something like that.
whoever wants to volunteer as a judge can judge. It's usually
Really?
decided the day of, so yeah. But there are organizers, which are different. The organizers are planned beforehand. There's usually 2 or 3.
Are you an organizer?
I'm trying to organize a competition later this November.
Well, tell us about it, because we only got a few minutes, but this is a great way to end it. And if anybody, if any of our viewers want to join or want any more information, who do they contact?
Right. So to sign up for competitions, you would go to worldcubeassociation.org. It's an organization abbreviated as the WCA, but over there, everyone lists all the competitions that are being hosted, and then you can sign up. And usually, they host them and they post them on the website around a month or 2 in advance. And it isn't really, it's reoccurring, but they are pretty spread apart. So I'm talking like location-wise. In Massachusetts, I think there's only one competition every 2 or 3 months, right? And you need to keep on.
That's a lot, isn't it? Every 2 or 3 months?
It is. It's like
Yeah.
4 times a year, 6 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's different for Massachusetts.
They have them all over the country? 'Cause
Yeah,
we're
all
in
over the
different
world.
Towns. Really, all
Yeah.
over the world.
Yeah.
So now, if somebody, like we have people watch us from Brazil, if they wanted to join the Massachusetts competition, do they have to come here, or can you do it over the internet?
No, it's an in-person event.
Oh, an in-person event. What do you
Yeah.
think of that? Yeah.
I think it's about time we start wrapping up, though.
Yeah.
See how fast it went?
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to sign up for yours, would they just contact you when the time comes?
When
Besides,
the
they can contact us too.
when the competition will be posted on the WCA, I don't think there's been a competition in Sharon for the past like 4 or 5 even years. So this is like anything that's in Sharon, they can just filter out and see.
Yeah,
like
this
that.
is Sharon. So if they from another town, they can come over here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't that something? Or even another state?
Yeah. I once went to a competition in Albany, so
Mm.
that was
Albany.
right after COVID, which.
Yeah, that's a few-hour drive.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta.
Yes, I think we
isn't it
do have to
funny?
wrap up.
Yeah,
This
we
has
have
been
to wrap up.
fascinating. It really has.
Yeah.
Some of the things that come so naturally to people in your age group isn't so natural to to the rest of
No,
us.
yeah.
But to our viewers, we want to thank you for watching.
Is this
I-
natural in your age group, though?
There are a couple of people in my grade who,
But not everybody.
not everyone. No, it's
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
there's not a lot of people. It's people who want to pursue this. They
Well, you
keep
got a
on
lot of
searching out.
pursuits.
Yes,
To
and
the robotics, the
these
Rubik's
are
Cubes,
what I
all
would
that.
consider the seeds leading to success. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things, even though you may
Yeah,
not know.
That's another R. The right things, the Rubik's Cube, the robotics.
Oh, yes, triple R.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so thank you for watching our show. If you have any questions about this or have any suggestions for other topics, we hope that you will be in touch with us, because remember, this is your show. The law, your money, and
and
you.
you.